Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Excelsior, your hero multiversal podcast. My name is Christian Buckley. I'm your director. Joining me, as always, after a bit of a break, the Apex legend, Jack Martin. How are you?
Excelsior. Good to be back, Christian. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing just fine, I guess. I mean, career-wise, E3 just got canceled, so that is affecting my summer professionally. But other than that, you know, it's a nice temperature outside. I'm drinking water, you know, staying hydrated, so I can't complain. You know, how about you?
I'm doing okay. Rest in peace to E3. Gotta give just the biggest of shoutouts, and it's this slow, agonizing death over the course of several years.
Do you have, because we're leading with a multiversal podcast now, I won't limit it to Marvel. Do you have a favorite superhero related E3 memory that you'd like to share with the class?
It probably would be Marvel. And the more I think about it, it's probably the Spider-Man demo that was at E3. I think it was the Puddlegate one. Just like the epitome of a fantastic E3 showing. And just the reveal of Spider-Man, really, of him flipping through the buildings and all that. I know there were rumors for a while that it was going to be Sucker Punch who was doing it. Ended up being Insomniac. And that was the sort of reveal there, I think, in 2016. So those are probably my two highlights. I'm trying to remember even some other ones. I mean, there was the Avengers announcement. And then there was the Avengers debacle announcement.
So
that was interesting.
There was the iconic, hotly debated, controversial, and discussed on the Long Play Club podcast, Batman Arkham Knight E3 demo, where the cop shot a bunch of civilians in the diner.
Right.
And I believe it began with Joker being cremated.
I think you're right. Yeah. That's just epitomizes that game in a nutshell.
It really does. I think I'd agree with you, though, about Spider-Man. It's probably the Spider-Man... The reveal was really cool, because that was, like, at PlayStation, I think's best conference they've done, you know? Like, 2015 was, like, a legendary one, because it was, like, Last Guardian's back, Final Fantasy VII Remake was announced, Shenmue 3... which was like a big deal. But 2016 was like unreal. That was opening with God of War.
And with the orchestra as well, right?
Yeah, with the orchestra. And then also like they showed Horizon gameplay when I was still excited about Horizon. They announced Resident Evil 7 with like the fake out, you know, and it was like demo is available tonight. And then they ended with Spider-Man, and I think something else, but yeah, the Spider-Man
was PT in there? Or is that 2015?
No, it was Death Stranding. Oh my god.
Wow, that was a crazy E3.
Yeah, dude. And they never topped it. PlayStation never topped it, and E3's been dying ever since. So.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, the really memorable 2013 PlayStation. This is not superhero related, but PlayStation E3 showcase. Just countering everything Microsoft had said hours before. Just, that is the peak of E3, I think.
And I will say, for I think the 2017 showing that you're talking about with Spider-Man, where we got the first look at gameplay, I watched that thing over and over and over and over and over again. But I think the 2018 E3 Spider-Man demo, where it's like the raft escape, the breakout, and then it ends with he's like, you, and everyone thought it was Iron Man, right?
I don't remember people thinking that. That's cool though.
Yeah, people thought it was Iron Man was like leading the charge against Spider-Man or something. That was a really good one. I know that was too close to the game, basically, for what it was showing there, but
very solid though.
Yeah, Spider-Man has always had great E3 showings.
Yeah, definitely. Sad to me. E3 is, I think everyone has really fond memories of E3. I don't think Summer Games Fest has really quite captured that vibe yet. And I don't know. I gotta be honest. I don't like Jeff Keighley coming out and like spitting on the grave of E3. That's my honest opinion. I know he's trying to sell a product, but it's like, man, read the room, bro.
You see, as somebody who had a spell where I enjoyed one worldwide, no, what is it? World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE.
Yeah.
People playing it up. I kind of appreciate that sometimes, but no, I feel
Too much snark on the internet.
too much
And
snark.
he's very snarky.
And we just listed several, albeit not all killer, but several iconic superhero moments of E3. What does Summer Game Fest have so far? Batman is dead. And that's it, right?
Yeah, that was at Fandom, wasn't it?
No, I think that was a Keeley thing when he was showing gameplay for Gotham Knights. Maybe that was Gamescom.
I honestly forget. I thought they announced it at the Fandom. Maybe
I don't
not.
know. Well, you know what else? We did mention it already, but what else was a E3 moment regarding heroes?
What's that?
Marvel's Avengers. Well, look at that. We're coming back after a bit of a break, and we're talking about
you believe
Avengers. Wow. Fury's report. Avengers is receiving its final update this week. As of release of this episode, it is already out. As of recording this episode, it is out tomorrow. Update 2.8 is doing all the final tweaks and balances to the game that Crystal detailed a little while ago. There's no full blog post up. I did check the last piece of news on their website was from January, so maybe we'll get some tomorrow. But it's going live, and along with it, everything. Well, here's where we get into some tricky things, Jack. I don't know if you saw this, but in their announcement of this, how they said all the skins will become free. Mm-hmm. The tweet said nearly every skin will be free to own tomorrow. What do you think evades this mass generosity?
Yeah, that was kind of confusing to me because they did say all before. Now they're saying nearly. I don't want to read too much into it because pretty much everything in this game has been free, like all the DLC and whatnot. So you gotta give them kudos for that. And of course, like all the comments were really like dogpiling on the fact that they used nearly. I don't know. Maybe it's the stuff in the vendor that is like technically not free since like you gotta go through it. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. It would make really no sense for them to release these new skins and they're paid for the rest of all time or until the end of the year. That would be weird. But maybe that's what it is.
What if it's just protecting themselves because technically there are Spider-Man skins that will not be free for Xbox players. Maybe that's it, you know?
Maybe.
But in addition to nearly every skin in the game, we're getting a bunch of free skins tomorrow. Brand new ones. Starting with one that has a little asterisk to it because this suit is free for anyone who has earned a trophy before or achievement before April 1st. Maybe this is the one they'd be charging for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is War Machine.
Pretty much.
Full-blown shoulder turret, red lighting, no swapping out dialogue. Like, it's not a character or an actor playing Rhodey. It is...
Well, maybe. Maybe, depending on the Twitter video they released.
Maybe. Do you want to explain what happened with that video?
Yeah, so they did a little hype trailer for the suit, which you're right. It very much is the War Machine suit. They call it the Variable Threat Response suit. Okay. And they have VO in the like hype trailer for it. And it's not Nolan North who plays Iron Man in the game. It's just a dude. And that was really confusing to me. It's the first thing I noticed. And very Marvel's Avengers of them to do that. I was really confused. I think you have a good idea on maybe why they did this.
So my thinking is because everything we're getting is probably stuff that would have been coming out Q1 of this year anyway. They probably just held on to it for this final push. And that, like, Crystal's busy with a bunch of other things. So they're not going to waste money on this. You know, they'll probably invest whatever time they need to do to flip the switches to make these things go live. But my theory is the reason that was not Nolan North in that trailer is because since that is advertisement for the game, I imagine Nolan North would have to receive residuals for that if his voice was used in some manner, even if it's like dialogue that's already in the game. So they probably just said like, "Hey Ted, come in the office for a second. We're talking to this iPhone," you know.
It's really what it feels like. But honestly, just don't include VO at that point.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm wrong, we'll see tomorrow, but I don't see a world where they're like, hey, we're going to have a bunch of random actors come in and re-record all the lines for everybody for like financial reasons. Like that seems like something they wouldn't do.
No, yeah.
But how do you feel about this? You're the Iron Man main. You wanted War Machine forever. It seemed like War Machine was a guarantee at one point, and I think this character model probably points to that. But what do you think?
Yeah, it's cool. I'm glad they did this. It seems like this is probably what War Machine would have looked like, and they're just kind of ripping that off and giving it to Iron Man. It's sad, and it's going to be weird to use this suit and not actually be able to use all the functions on it, like with the machine gun or whatever. But, you know, you can expect that it was coming from that place, and that they just shifted it over to Iron Man for this. They didn't have to do it. They didn't have to do anything that we're going to talk about, and it's just really cool that they did towards the end of this game's life. So, good on them.
For sure. In addition to that, there have been 4 updates throughout this week about other skins dropping with the update. We'll see if there is something tomorrow. They have been updating on Twitter every single day this week, and there is one more day left in the week, the day this comes out. First up, I don't think this is in the correct order of announcement. Black Widow is getting her outfit from the first Avengers film. Cool. I like that Black Widow suit.
For sure. Does every hero have their Avengers 1 suit? That doesn't sound right. Hawkeye.
That doesn't sound right, no. Yeah, I don't think so. I think where applicable, no, because T'Challa was in Endgame. I was gonna say I think everybody has their Endgame suit, but yeah, I don't think there's a universal MCU lineup for anybody.
That was my rationale. Like, can you complete a squad from, for the most part, like maybe the starters from Avengers 1, but I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Oh well. You can. Everyone has an MCU skin though.
Oh,
that is in the MCU.
Yes.
Which is everyone, I think.
Yep. There's Spider-Man skins. There are Ms. Marvel and Kate ones as well. So, actually, no. There's no MCU Jane. I forgot Jane was in the game, or Bucky. Is Bucky in the game?
Bucky's in the game.
Sorry. Does Bucky have an MCU skin in the game? I know Bucky's in the game.
I don't know. I think you and I sort of tuned out at that point.
Oh, we did.
I do think Jane does have her MCU skin, though.
That feels like a lie.
No, I think she does.
Okay.
I think she does. Who knows, though? Literally no one knows.
Yeah.
I think Jane is kind of really where we started paying less attention to this game.
Yeah. That's correct. The Avengers 1 skins, though, I think definitely iconic. I know for sure Iron Man, Cap. I own the Cap one, or everybody does now. But Widow. I think Thor has his Avengers 1 skin.
Yes, he does.
I don't want to commit to saying Hulk because I know Hulk is like.
Yeah, what do you even do for that?
It's just shorts. Yeah. I can't believe they got his iconic shorts from when the security man wakes him up.
Yep. and they changed the hex code on his green skin color, so it's just the right code now.
Man, how great was that Hulk from Avengers 1 skin? Or not skin, the like model. That was like my
Yeah,
favorite version of Hulk was that one.
you didn't like the Ruffalo-fied version?
I can appreciate it, but I don't know if I'd say I'd like it.
He's also, I feel like they took, if he was in like a photo editor and they went to the, the topmost right corner and just like shrunk it down a bunch. He seemed less Hulk like. Even like
Sure.
before he, like, in Ragnarok, he just seemed like a lot smaller. I don't know.
Yeah. And I know there's lore reasons behind it too. And I do like Hulk in Ragnarok, but I just think like visually the look that he had in that first Avengers movie, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Even I like to a degree how like messy fucked up he looks in The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. The hair is a little strange, but
It's definitely a little weird, but like the chest and like the like contortion of all the muscles in that, it looks really cool.
yeah.
Thor is getting an Odin skin. It is called 1 million BC. It is from a comic line. I think it's the Prehistoric Avengers, or like I think it's called maybe the Savage Avengers. I forget, but it is basically you're playing as Odin, so that's cool.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit.
You're gonna have to help me out with this one. Captain America is getting an update for his Endgame outfit because I own his Endgame outfit already. They said they're doing like a variation of it where
Yes.
there were two tweets for this one. One is unhelmed, mask off, and is the other one just a different cap helmet?
So, yeah, one is without the helmet, but he also has his Endgame skin already, right?
Yeah, I own it. I bought it.
Me too.
That's what I'm confused
So-
about.
I don't quite. Such as this outfit variant for Captain America, inspired by his look in the
But
finale.
is it the helmet that's different? That's the only thing that I could notice. Maybe like the lines on the helmet. I don't
Didn't-
remember those.
I honestly am not quite sure. Didn't he have a bit of a different look in Endgame, like at the beginning and end of that movie? I don't quite know.
At the beginning, he wore the Winter Soldier outfit when they went to kill Thanos, and then at the end, he had the scales.
Okay, so maybe I don't know. Is he gonna have 3 Endgame suits essentially?
That's the impression I got, but I could not, from just a glance, tell you what that tweet was about.
I can't either. Yeah, that's a confusing one to me. Considering he already has one, so
Well, the good news is it doesn't matter.
no.
Lastly, as of today, Thursday, March 30th, 6 p.m., 6:08 p.m. East Coast time. The final one, Earth X Black Panther. This is in line with the Captain America werewolf. This is just Black Panther as a legitimate panther standing up.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really look all that different from a regular suit from him.
It doesn't. He's just got like facial animation now.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's cool. And again, to correct myself, these are all free. I was
Yeah.
thinking like maybe these ones are no, these are all free. So I have no clue what they mean by nearly.
I genuinely I think it is the War Machine thing because they detail
Yeah.
it as free for anyone who earned it before April 1st. So I don't know if they're gonna shift that to being like a now you can pay for it or now it's you can't get it sort of thing.
Yeah, that sounds correct. That seems like a make good. This is the final skin we're releasing,
Yeah.
and thank you everyone for playing, the past few years.
Yeah. Because I guarantee you, had they been able to do another couple months of this, I bet the last Echo we would have gotten was War Machine, maybe, unless they wanted to do She-Hulk or something like that. But I mean, I remember Miller years ago at this point said that like War Machine had like a lot of progress done, so they knew we knew that, you know, like maybe that's why.
Sure. Yeah.
But do you expect there to be one more tomorrow? One more tweet announcement of a skin, or do you think this is it?
I think it's probably it. It would be cool, but I think that's probably it now.
Yeah. Well, are you gonna reinstall for the update, or are you gonna just maybe get to this eventually?
I I'm gonna put in a note on Sunday to do it because if I don't, I will not remember. So on Sunday I will.
Because I think the urgency here, I know this is their final update, and then it turns into the Wild West in September, but I think I need to get in there and claim everything. So in case the servers do break in September, I'll at least have all the stuff locally.
Yeah,
Like all the skins claimed.
that is a really good idea. Want to do that for sure. At some point, want to go back to the campaign,
Me too.
but I don't think it's anytime soon. Too many games out right now. Or
Far
coming
too
out.
many. Far too many.
You start that Resident Evil 4 remake?
Not yet. Despite working in video games now, Jack, I have surprisingly less time to play games than I did before.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
So it took me a full month to get through the latest Destiny expansion on Legendary mode. So I just finished that last night. I'm probably doing a little cleanup tonight, and then I'll start RE4 this weekend. But how is it? I know you're playing it.
It's very good. I kind of wish I never played the original because I'm just like, oh yeah, this is this part, and I know what to expect around each corner, and that kind of brings my overall excitement down from it. But I think it's a really great remake. It's up there with the Dead Space remake for me from earlier this year, which I really enjoyed. I straight up like could not play the original Dead Space, and the remake really fixed a lot of things for me that I didn't enjoy. I think I probably prefer the original RE4 to the remake, but it's still like a really fantastic modernized version of that experience that is quite good. So
Yeah, I'm very excited to. RE4, I played all of the Resident Evil games outside of like the first two in 2020 for the first time. And since then, RE4 has grown on me a lot. At first, I had a bit of an issue with the controls and everything, mainly like the snapping back to the center when you're not aiming. But RE4 has grown on me so much to the point where I question if I like the original RE4 more or Resident Evil 2 Remake, which
yep.
I adore. But I gotta tell you, Jack, I did Leon B, or Leon's second run this past week over the course of 2 nights to just get a little refresher on this take on Leon, because I know 4 Leon so well, but it's like, okay, I'll watch the cutscenes. Second run is shorter. I'll just get a refresher. And I was a little lukewarm on it after I beat it. And I was scared by that. I was like, oh God, what? I mean, it's my least favorite campaign in that whole game is Leon's second run, but I was scared. I was like, is this like not a 10 to me now? I was scared.
Well, the thing with that game in particular, and I think probably with a lot of horror games, is you really can't play them multiple times and get that same level of return from them.
Sure.
Because it's like riding a roller coaster so many times. It's like, all right, I know what to expect around like each twist and turn now. So Mr. X isn't going to feel as great. In fact, him stomping around is going to be probably really annoying on multiple playthroughs, as it was for me when I replayed it like probably a month ago. And the encounters in RE4, the original and the remake, are all just so dynamic that every time you do it, you can experience them in different ways. And the lineup of weapons that you have is so deep. The different things you can do to approach each scenario just makes it feel pretty fresh each time. Like you can go through and do, I mean, you can do this in RE2 remake, but you can do like a knife and handgun only run through for a trophy, I think is one of them.
Yeah.
So it's just, when you compare them, RE4 has better replay value, but RE2 may be the better experience, considering it really respects your time as well at like 8 hours.
That's true. I think RE4 just has a way better story and scenario. to me. Like obviously,
Yeah.
like Zombie Outbreak Night One is a flawless scenario always. So like I really still love that about RE2. But I think the thing is, I didn't play it at all last year. But in 2020 and 2021, over the course of that period of time, I think I beat RE2, no joking, 20 times. And it was just like outside of the first runs of each character, always was skipping cutscenes. So I think that might be it too. Like
Oh
mechanically, I
yeah.
love that game, but like revisiting the story, it's like four is way better story wise to me. So I think that might be it too.
Vibes wise as well.
Yeah.
Just supreme vibes.
Yeah.
Also, nothing quite as good as shooting someone in the face and then give them a nice kick. Nice
Yeah.
roundhouse kick.
Yeah. I love it so much. But excited to get to that. And I can guarantee you I will forget about downloading Avengers as soon as I start that game.
Yeah. Yep.
One final note on Avengers, though. Sandra Saad, who voices or performed as Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, put up a nice farewell video that went up on the Avengers Twitter account, just saying thank you to the community, how exciting it was, emotional to say goodbye to the character because, as far as I know, she did do additional, like acting for Kamala beyond the campaign with some of those expansions. But yeah, I think more than anything, the performance of Kamala and the game centering her as that glue for this take on the Avengers, I think is still one of the best things about it. So it was nice that they gave her the spotlight as a farewell to the community.
Yeah. Very well deserved too. She introduced a lot of people, myself included, to Ms. Marvel, so that was great to see. She was fantastic. She's always kind of been sort of the best highlight of the game. So good for her and good for them for doing it.
I wholeheartedly agree. Seriously, you're the best, Sandra.
Seriously, you're the best.
Well, that's it for Avengers. I don't know if we're ever going to talk about that game again.
Probably not. You know what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about when the servers go down. What is it, like October or September or something?
I think it's either like the end of October or sorry, the end of September or the very beginning of October.
So the servers aren't going down. They're just ceasing like official support.
Yes.
And then the next day the servers will be shut down.
Yeah, or they'll be like modded or hacked or something by people who
Yeah.
want to ruin it.
I mean, I think the servers are bound to go down considering, and I think I said this earlier in the year. I was like, oh, Bad Company 2 servers are still up, and they're going down at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't catch a break. Cannot catch a break.
Well, I think when the final day before the servers have official support, right? I do think I will load up and I will just matchmake a bunch for a few hours because
Sure.
there's a special magic with live service games where something in the real world, being reflected in them by the community is like, it's the closest that any of these goddamn companies will ever get to the metaverse being real. Where like there is some connection there. There's a genuine like feeling of community from people who are united by this stupid fake digital thing. Like just recently with the passing of Lance Reddick, like Destiny community, entire night that Friday, like nobody was doing anything in the tower. They were just by his character, and like that was a really really awesome thing to do. And I know this community for Avengers has staunch defenders still that will probably be up and in there going through AIM hallways on the final hours. So that's going to be a nice thing to experience, I think.
Yeah, definitely touching to see that in Destiny, and I do think the most dedicated and passionate of the Avengers fan base will be there that day. So that'll be nice to see.
For sure. Well, in all honesty, Jack, maybe we forget to do that too, because you know what else might be happening in September?
Yeah, what's that?
Spider-Man 2, baby.
Yeah, not a big surprise.
No,
Not a big
not
surprise.
at all.
but surprising how we heard about the news.
Yeah, so let me pull up the actual tweet to get this to everybody. I know listeners, agents of Excelsior, you've probably heard this all by now.
Yeah, we're quite late to it given the amount of time we've been away.
Yeah, so I just pulled up Tony Todd's Twitter and realized he is very active on Twitter, so I have to actually look up the specific tweet.
I can set the stage a little bit.
Please do.
If you'd like. So Tony Todd, I'm forgetting like what he's from that people would know. He's just like a proliferant voice actor.
Candyman. He was Candyman.
In the movie Candyman?
Yes, the horror film.
Okay, yes. So he is voicing Venom. I guess now it's officially confirmed. I think it already was. Either way.
Yeah.
He's voicing Venom. And he tweeted something that I don't even think was in reference to Spider-Man. And someone's like, dude, so excited for your Venom performance. And he just essentially gave up when the game was coming out. Like, completely out of the blue, completely was not even asked for.
Yeah, so somebody tweeted something to the effect of, can't wait to play Spider-Man. I don't even think they added him. Like, it was replying to something else. And then Tony Todd responded, looks like September. Massive publicity coming in August. Commercials start dropping in August, so I'm told. And then everybody was like, oh, okay, so Spider-Man 2 is September. That is the definition of fall we are running with. And it's roughly 5 years, almost exactly, since the last Spider-Man mainline games, Marvel Spider-Man. And then later that evening, firstly, almost immediately, he tweeted, oops. And then he was just like, he was like quote tweeting things and like retweeting things about people being like, yo, he broke NDA. And he was just like spreading all that around.
It's almost like he was proud of it. Retweeting all that.
And then later in the evening, he took a photo of him in like a hot tub or something, like half underwater. And he was like, I'm not saying anything else. Nothing's real. Who knows? I might not even be Venom.
That's a great way to respond.
Yeah. So you set it up. You said it already, but September, you're not surprised?
No. If they said fall and the original Spider-Man I think we've even talked about this. The original Spider-Man came out in September. It just seems natural for the sequel to follow suit and seems like a good spot in the year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. I also know PlayStation typically, outside of the fact they launched a console in November and that's when Miles Morales came out, they typically don't ship things past October. And I know last year was also an exception with God of War, but first party wise, it's like they tend to not do that, even though the last 2 years were some exceptions. And then 2021 didn't even have anything from them.
You can just say 2021 didn't have anything and leave it at that.
Well, listen, I don't want to make any claims, but
what did you like from that year?
From PlayStation? I didn't have a PS5
yet. From anyone. Because I did not like 2021. That was like such a bleh year for me.
Genuinely, I think Metroid Dread is one of the best Nintendo games I've ever played.
That's a good call.
Maybe
it's because... Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, that was my game of the year that year.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I just didn't really get around to playing too much that year, but I mean, it's silly to say now, but I think my highlight that year was Halo. At least the campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Solid multiplayer for a month. But, I mean, aside from that, it was Deathloop, which I think was fine. I think it was very overrated, but I think it was fine. And, I don't know, not too much beyond that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. I don't even have a full 10 that year for favorites.
No, yeah. I know Ratchet came out and people enjoyed, but never got around to it.
Yeah, I missed that. I missed Returnal. But
that too, yep.
Metroid Dread was my number one. I really enjoyed Resident Evil Village, like a lot. Monster Hunter Rise is pretty good, but yeah, Halo also I liked, and Forza was fun, but everything else was just kind of like I put Bowser's Fury on here. That was a side spin-off experimental game and a re-release of a Wii U game, so like it was tough that year.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man 2 this September. Get ready, get your pre-orders in. Maybe look out for a special edition console. And if you're Xbox, look out for how that release looks like with Starfield.
Ugh. I think they're both coming out that September.
I think they're both coming out that first week, dude.
Can't do this to me. Honestly, in that situation, I gotta be honest, I'm choosing Starfield over that to like prioritize my time.
That's the tricky thing, because I would lean on that as well. I think Starfield is going to be more exciting because I love Spider-Man. I love Marvel Spider-Man, but I think I've said to you, I've said it on the podcast, I look at that game the same way I kind of look at Fallen Order, where it's like it's a high 8.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of things that have been done before, but they did them all mostly really great. And it's solid. But
yeah, there's a lot of things in that game that distract from it being just kind of a simple open world game, where like the score, the movement, swinging around, the combat is like fun and fluid, where you get distracted from the fact that you're still going around an open world map and like collecting little tokens, clearing out little settlements that exist in every open world game now. That all of that distracts from it kind of being a bland experience, even though, like what you said, it is like a very solid video game.
Yeah,
and we're gonna be replaying that this summer, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We're gonna be playing that in Miles Morales. Gonna get that platinum in Miles finally.
Ooh, there you go.
But yeah, I think in both cases, for Jedi Survivor and Spider-Man 2, what will elevate it is the story they tell, I think. What can bump it up to like a 9 or 10. But Starfield, hell or high water, that game is exciting. It could crash every hour, or it could be the smoothest experience ever, and I gotta be there for it as soon as I can,
Yeah. I know Fallout 4 came out, but it really feels like the first Bethesda game since Skyrim.
Honestly,
and
fair.
I don't want to like dismiss. It sounds like I'm dismissing Fallout 4, but Fallout 4 was like solid, but not revolutionary as Skyrim was at the time. I feel like Starfield is gearing up to be that way, whether it ends up being revolutionary or not. For that Bethesda, it seems like their biggest release. I can at least say it's their biggest release since Skyrim, like kind of unquestionably. The way I'm going to treat that if they do come out very similarly is Starfield is the main course, Spider-Man 2 the appetizer and the dessert.
That's a good way to frame it. Except your main course might take you 3 months is the problem.
Yes. Oh yes.
I'm checking when the exact release date was for 2018. I want to say it was like September 8th. September 7th was Spider-Man. So let's say they go 5 years exact and they announce Spider-Man 2 hits PS5 and the PS5 Slim on September 7th, 2023, a day after Starfield. At this point, it would look out of fear, but I do kind of think, how like Cyberpunk was like, hey, 2 more weeks,
Yes.
Like the tiny delay. I'm sure that Starfield, it wouldn't hurt to have that extra 2 weeks. But do that, and then everybody can play Spider-Man first, because it's going to be like probably like 15 hours anyway.
Yep, that would be perfect.
That's my hope. So, or Spider-Man comes out like literally September 1st.
Yeah, I mean, I sincerely hope so. That'd be awesome. And quite honestly, though, I would not be surprised if they were like, "Oh, let's just push Starfield back to November 11th."
Yeah, that too.
Right?
Sure.
Might as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that game's going to come out unfinished anyways.
Yeah.
So, Might as well give it a little bit more polish.
Yeah. Well, we will see what's in store with Spider-Man. As we get closer to the summer months, we will plan out our replays of Spider-Man Remastered or the original Spider-Man for whoever's following along, because you can play it on PS4 if you want to. So Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales we will be doing this summer. Stay tuned for that. But let's pop on over to the world of the MCU, Jack. Well, actually,
not some great things going on.
Yeah, actually, we're taking a grander step back. So, like the MCU in relation to our world, a lot has gone on in the last couple weeks. The first notable thing, there's less conversation to be had with this one because it is still pretty murky and things are going back and forth with it. But a couple days ago, Jonathan Majors was arrested for allegedly abusing who I believe was his girlfriend. He was arrested, and his legal team came out, said that things were like a misunderstanding, that he was, being not like abused, but he was like trying to be proactive about a situation, and then it escalated, and then his girlfriend changed her story, but she's saying like she had visible like harm on her. So there's a lot of back and forth. The very flat out thing is Jonathan Majors is in a domestic abuse case currently, which is really fucking shitty. That is, I don't want to say unsurprising because I feel like Hollywood has a lot of terrible people in it, but I think the thing to say is that the conversation should be about a woman was harmed, not what's going to happen to Kang.
Right. Yeah, the key here is the horrific allegations that have come out, and heard some other people say that have worked with him in the past say it's not surprising. It's kind of been an open secret with people who have worked with him. I don't know how substantial those are. I've seen reports of people saying things along those lines. So just really horrible, and hope the victim is getting better.
Yes. And in relation to Marvel as a fandom, I think it is very like universally agreed upon that there is no space for abusers in any area like this, let alone comic book movies. So I think whatever needs to happen is going to happen. So.
For sure.
Beyond that, within the MCU and Marvel as a whole, 2 executives have departed, been let go, been fired. Starting with Ike Perlmutter, who's been the chairman of Marvel Entertainment for a very long time, has been cited as a basically pain to get a lot of projects and progressive stuff within Marvel accomplished. So we'll see what this evolves into. We'll see if, somebody like a Kevin Feige steps up to replace him as the chairman of Marvel Entertainment. But any specific takes on Ike Perlmutter?
Not really. These 2 people that we're going to discuss, I honestly haven't really heard them. They're not as in the common vernacular as I'd say Kevin Feige are.
Yeah. So
I don't really have too much knowledge on them. Hard for me to really speak on this firing in particular.
Yeah. The other is Victoria Alonso, who's the head of visual effects at Marvel Entertainment, and I believe has been since Iron Man, if not longer. Nearly 2 decades, I saw, was the tenure of her position. And this is coming after a lot of reporting last year and over the course of the first few months of this year that Marvel treats the visual effects artists on their films and television shows like trash. So there's been back and forth on whether or not this is just a PR move, scapegoat sort of thing, if things are actually going to change, or if this is the actual root cause. But again, we won't know the fallout of either of these things until probably at least a year from now.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of impressive visual effects in the MCU since Iron Man, namely Thanos and a lot of other things I could name. But you're right. I think very recently a lot has been talked about in terms of overworking visual effects artists, giving them just horrendous deadlines for them to meet, which are impossible. And I think that this probably stems from those reports. But you're right. Not sure if that's actually going to do anything or if this is more just a mea culpa in a sense.
Yeah, so I can tell you, I think it's been made pretty clear to the agents over the course of the weeks. I'm in a place with Marvel right now where I, truthfully, am like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Maybe like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 toe in, maybe. Like I am kind of at my wit's end with Marvel.
With the MCU.
Yeah. And even like Marvel in general, I feel like it's a bit hard to be enthusiastic about just because a lot of it feels so like constantly always on, you know? Spider-Man, I will stand until I'm in my 90s. So obviously I'm excited for all that stuff, but yeah, all this stuff, I could really care less. If things start changing and I feel differently about it, that's great news. If they don't, I do not feel any differently than I did 3 days ago. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, especially with some recent projects that I just have been really ambivalent to. Like, it's hard to really get me out to go to the movies.
Yeah. You see that? I see this. You didn't see John Wick 4 yet, right?
No, I got to catch up.
Yeah, me too.
I've only seen the first one, and I don't remember a thing about it. Well, I remember like the thing, the driving force behind it, but that's kind of it.
Yeah, I've talked with Mike about this too for Jedi Knight stuff. Last year something happened to me when I went to the movies and I saw, forgive me, Top Gun Maverick and Avatar: The Way of Water. Something changed, Jack, where I gotta have a reason now, and those are the reasons. What Marvel's doing is not a reason.
No, I agree. It's been sad. I feel like, I don't know, even before the pandemic, I mean, I loved going to movies, but I've just had some really horrible movie theater experiences in general, like outside of like quality movies. And I don't know, it's hard for me to really get out to the theater again, like to be really excited to go.
Yeah, dude. And maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe we're getting too old, but like the pandemic, we definitely talked about this when Black Widow was coming out. The pandemic absolutely changed spoiler culture and movie-going culture, where I do not think I will ever want to go to a MCU thing opening night ever again. Unless it's like maybe an Avengers movie. But even then, dude, I don't know. Because like, it's just I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's tiring. I'm sorry. I like being that person who goes to a movie theater and like gets lost in it, and like maybe there's like a universal like that like amplifies because everybody has that reaction, but not like a WWE match as much as I'm a fan. You know.
No comments. No comments. I would love for there to be a nice boutique theater experience where, and these exist, but
the Alamo Draft House.
Yeah, more proliferant where you go, everyone's in the same headspace, everyone's going to be very respectful and just enjoy the time and not talk throughout the movie, make comments. I've had some like horrible experiences recently, and they're usually at MCU movies where people are like commenting throughout it. It's just like people are throwing stuff at the screen. When I saw Spider-Man No Way Home the time after I saw it with you, like it was really bad.
Yeah, it's hard out here as a movie enjoyer, but oh boy, yeah, we'll see what changes, if anything, with Marvel. I think I'll make an effort to see Guardians at the Alamo in New York because when I saw Guardians 1 opening night, that, again, respectful crowd, everybody was laughing a lot. Nothing crazy though. So I would like to be in that theater. Everybody's on the same page. I can cry in silence and
Right.
resonate with that. Sit with it,
Mm-hmm.
But also, a couple other updates about MCU projects. Daredevil is now filming. Gotten some set photos. Charlie Cox looking great. Back in the three-piece suit as good old Matt Murdock. I don't think Daredevil shots have come out yet, have they?
I haven't seen any.
Yeah. But there's been a couple things that have come out about Daredevil in terms of what may or may not be canon. There's rumors that maybe this is taking place during the blip and not, modern day. But I am blanking on the actor's name, but Foggy and Deborah Ann Woll, who plays Karen, will not be returning for Born Again.
Very sad.
Vanessa was recast.
Less sad, but still sad.
And today I saw the same precinct that they shot at for Daredevil, like on Netflix, like the one where Matt and Foggy's buddy worked at. They're shooting there again. So like some of these locations are the same. I don't know, man. It's weird.
So like, do those? We don't know the answer to this, so I'm just kind of asking rhetorical questions. Do those characters just not exist? Perhaps if it's during the blip, like we said, were they blipped out? Do they just want to give one season for Matt to establish himself as a character, and then maybe post-credit scene they pop in? I mean, that's kind of, I don't know if that's a great post-credit scene, but I don't know. They were really the heart and soul of that show in a lot of ways. Like we described them as comfort characters, so it is sad to see, and it's still unclear whether it's the same Daredevil. I don't know if we quite know that answer.
I don't think we ever will.
It's probably a good point.
But John Bernthal's Punisher is confirmed to be back.
There's another flip of the coin. I mean, that's cool at least. He's fantastic. I mean, sometimes I get a little upset when people are like, oh, no one else can play this character, because someone probably could. But you could definitely make that case for John Bernthal, because he really made that character his own.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I know this is probably too grand sweeping of a statement, but I feel like a lot of the people who worked on The Walking Dead seem like great people, like the actors, like with Norman Reedus and John Bernthal, Stephen Yeun also, like they all seem super cool. And the fact that John Bernthal is so like into this, I get like he has like a podcast, I guess, and I sometimes get like clips of his podcast on TikTok on my feed. Just seems cool. I'm glad he's like so into this character and coming back for it.
Yeah, he's a nice young man. Good for him.
Yeah, a fan of his dog.
Yeah.
Talking about E3 moments. Remember Bam Bam, right?
Oh my God, yeah, I do.
Yeah, the pit bull. Love that. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Daredevil Born Again. I want to say next year, but who knows at this point. Things are getting pushed. Speaking of, Secret Invasion has a date officially. The first episode of the Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson led series will be releasing on Disney Plus on June 21st.
Solid. I'm like getting more excited for this one. After Ant-Man and the Wasp, honestly, like I need something to cleanse the old palate. Yeah. And this and Guardians should hopefully fill that void.
My dream, Jack, is that the back-to-back of Guardians in May and Secret Invasion in June will reflect good old 2014, where we got Winter Soldier in April and Guardians of the Galaxy in August.
It's a great call.
That's my hope.
I mean, they definitely are, with Guardians being a 1-to-1 and Secret Invasion being very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely feeling the same vibes.
Yeah, because I imagine with like Fury being such a prominent character, like there's maybe a chance we'll see other characters on that level. Like, does Sharon show up? Do we get another, Yelena stuff with the widows. I don't know, but espionage, please.
Yeah. The more you say that, though, I'm like, oh man, I don't care what we're doing here with the Thunderbolts and all that. I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot about what we're doing here.
That's a good point. Well, we got the Skrulls too. I like Talos a lot. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, he's cool.
He's funny. So we'll see what happens this June. As we wrap up, though, we did talk about this last episode. It has been 1 year since The Batman, as of earlier this month, but recording, got shuffled around a bit. Did you get a chance to rewatch The Batman recently?
So I'm going to answer your question legally. Recently, yes, I did.
Yes.
It was probably like a month ago, but
It's
I
fine.
didn't.
It's a long movie. It's fine.
Yeah, I didn't rewatch it recently. Just I didn't have any time to, and then also I had watched it recently, like within the past couple of months. So
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't really need to, but that was my third time rewatching it. Second time after the theater. So I saw it once in theaters on my birthday, which is awesome. I love when movies like that, like Logan and The Batman, all came out either on March 4th or like around that date. So that has always been cool. March has been like really hit or miss for movies, and some cool ones come out. But I saw it in theaters, then I saw it when it came out on HBO Max, like in the fall. And I was like, okay, I didn't love it as much as when I saw it in theaters. And then I saw it again recently. I was like, okay, never mind. This movie's fucking awesome. But this is your second time seeing it, right?
Second time seeing it, first time seeing it at home. And yeah, when I left it the first time, I definitely enjoyed it. And I really liked a lot of it. But like there was something I couldn't describe after that was just like, I don't know. I saw it with Omar, a friend of the show, Joe Clicks native. And he definitely did not like it that much. So like the post theater discussion was usually like talking about a lot of things that didn't work, and I was agreeing with some of them. But the thing that really killed it was I saw this with him, I want to say at like a 2 p.m. on a Thursday. Down in front, dude was on his phone from like the car chase with Penguin to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And that made me feel the 3 hours.
Oh, I get it.
And I was just annoyed. I was like, man, I gotta pee. I don't want to leave. I can't stand this glowing white light at the bottom when there's this beautifully lit and shot film on screen. Like,
and did you see it in IMAX?
No, I didn't. I saw it at a Regal Cinema.
Oh, see, dude, this was an IMAX movie, like capital IMAX movie, and that was a joy to see.
But yeah, my initial thought was 4 stars on Letterboxd. Very glad they made a Detective Batman movie finally, because that's my favorite aspect of the character. The rewatch, the at-home viewing, very recently, easy 5 stars.
Wow,
fantastic,
nice,
loved it.
So what improved aside from no phone and screen?
Just be like, honestly, I think that was the majority of it. Like being able to not be annoyed, being able to pause it to get popcorn at a good point, and be able to like really stew with everything that was going on there. I still think it is like so fucking dumb, the Rada Alada stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like that's
the plot
so
is a little
stupid.
silly in this.
But I now I look at that and I feel it more as being intentional, because this movie's very funny to me.
Oh yeah.
Like it's funny. and
kind of unintentionally at points.
For sure. And I think the tone of it makes the unintentional moments feel like they're laughing like with us, really, not like inviting laughter at them, to me at least. Because it is ridiculous. It's a man dressing up as a bat and beating people up, you know? But I do think the mystery is really cool. I really like obviously every performance in there except Barry Keoghan. I think Love the
That's the
guy,
worst.
but
It's the worst part of the movie. Like that
yeah,
didn't need to be included.
yeah. So aside from that, really, really great. Still don't know if I like it better than Begins or The Dark Knight, but it's easily one of the best Batman movies, and I again think it gets Batman way more, or it gets my favorite element of Batman way more than the Nolan movies do.
Yeah, I agree. I also think what this movie does, similar to what some other movies like Blade Runner, the recent Blade Runner movie, Dune, I think this movie gets by a lot based on vibes alone. And what I mean
Yeah,
by that is I think they nail this take on Batman, and especially think Gotham way better than any movie has done before. Maybe like the closest one is, I know this is very different, but I feel like Tim Burton's take on it, at least in 1989, was a really great interpretation of the comics.
I agree.
But I don't really think, in comparison, the Christopher Nolan movies feel like Batman as much as this movie does. That was very like, what if a modern action movie just so happens to be a Batman movie? And this is very much like you feel like the crime and you feel like the horribleness of this city and the bleakness of it, like right off the bat. Like with the opening monologue from Bruce Wayne going into the lead up to like the first time you see Batman basically just being Darth Vader, like that, they just kind of nail it off that opening set piece. And I know there's the Riddler stuff before, but yeah, that carries like through the whole movie, I feel.
Yeah, and just like seeing the arc he goes through and like genuinely wanting to be a beacon of hope, not just being this like terror for the city. I like because that also touches on things I enjoy from Batman from like the TV shows and comics of like Batman does have a warmth to him. It's just everybody loves making him this like brutal only, I'm basically a killer psychopath, but he has an ability to connect to people in a way that is like allowing them to be vulnerable, allowing them to feel safe with him. And at the end of the movie, when he's able to do that, that is a very satisfying conclusion that I'm excited to see them build off of with part two. So yeah, it gets the vibe of the character and the city, I think, almost pitch perfect. And the whole mystery of it all is really great. I really love Selena's character. I love Gordon. And he just calls
Oh,
him man the whole time. That's so
that
funny.
I love that. Hey man, we gotta go, man. Just fantastic. Yeah, he's
Yes.
he's a he's a really great take on Gordon, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree. I really wholeheartedly agree with your point on his characterization with the Batman, in terms of usually Batman is just a venue for plot
Yeah.
and exists as the hero to just kind of wrap up the main plot of the film. Whereas in this, I think they give Robert Pattinson a lot to work with, and he actually grows as a character, which is kind of rare with any Batman. Like, I don't really know if we get a lot of growth with Christian Bale's Batman. Really,
No.
none with Michael Keaton's Batman. Like, negative growth with the George Clooney Batman. So, I think
Even
that would.
Arkham, I don't know how much we get of him. Like he feels pretty consistent the whole time.
Who's George Clooney?
No, sorry, Arkham, like the games.
Yeah,
That
no,
Batman
like
feels rock solid constant the whole
that's.
time.
I mean that's pretty much every take on Batman, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. Like we don't get too much in terms of this. He's a different character by the end of the story. He might have like different interpretations on things, but he's kind of the same person by the end. And this, you're right. He has like a complete thesis statement that is totally different at the end of the movie. Where at the beginning he's like, they fear the shadows because they think I'm there, and that strikes fear in the entirety of the city. And by the end, he's like, no, I gotta step out of those shadows. So that has me really fascinated for what he is like in the sequel.
Definitely. And the fact that it is so, again, not, I don't think it's a great mystery, right? Like, I don't think the detective angle is like that deep or that like complex in a way that makes it feel kind of just matter of fact the whole time. But I do think the pace at which they give it out and like how hilarious a lot of that is with some of their framing of it, like it helps with how ridiculous it is with like, again, Rada Alada, when Gordon is like showing his chewed up partner to Penguin and he's like, oh, what the no. Like,
Yeah.
all
What
that
are you
stuff is so,
doing?
yeah, all that stuff is so funny that like it kind of makes up for the fact that it is, again, very matter of fact in the mystery it's telling. So I think that is one area where I think the sequel could improve, assuming they want to maintain like the serial killer approach, maybe, or that type of vibe, you know. But yeah, it's really fantastic, and I already liked it before, and I really enjoyed a lot of it, but I definitely like love it now. So
Me too. And there's just so much that's fantastic about this movie. I feel like they do a lot with. They pretty much only go to a few settings each time. Like they meet on that rooftop a bunch, or like that construction. They go to the Iceberg Lounge 1,000 times.
yeah,
But and they use the. I'm misremembering the name of it. The same technology that the Mandalorian uses.
yeah. I wanted to bring that up. The volume.
Yeah, they use that to great effect. So much
Yeah.
so that I didn't know they used it until after I saw the movie.
Yeah, I think it looks way better in how they like designed the sets and used the volume compared to something like Obi-Wan, for instance, which also
Yeah.
used it and felt like a soundstage.
Yeah, you like it. It seems like they shot on location pretty much everywhere. In
Yeah,
a lot
which
of
is-
instances, they do, but with that, a stagecraft is it? Is that
Yeah,
what it's called? When they use that, like you straight up just cannot tell.
which is also wild to consider that this was a pandemic movie.
Yeah, and you don't feel that ever.
Yeah, not at all. But it makes sense when you like consider the fact of what they did with like the volume tech and all that stuff. But yeah, all that was good. And I think also maybe it's just because I was more comfortable viewing it at home. I think they used the 3 hours well, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of hope that the sequel is not afraid to do that again, because I think that really, again, lends to being a serial killer murder mystery sort of thing. I, again, only request that in a sequel, going for 3 hours, going for the same murder mystery sort of thing, make it a little bit more complex and layered. But again, that's really the only hang up that I have now.
I also think with Clayface being that's confirmed, right? He's the villain of the sequel,
So-
or at least one of them.
There's been, so I was trying to do some reading into this. I guess Mike Flanagan, who did Midnight Mass and Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, has been vocal about wanting to do a Clayface centric movie that is like full blown, like old school horror, very like visceral, just character study sort of thing about Clayface. And Deadline was reporting on that fact, in addition to scripts for the Batman Part 2 have been moving around so much lately that Clayface may be integrated into that, and similar to the direction that Mike Flanagan wanted to go with it. So it was sort of a Clayface is in discussion for something in the near future, whether it's the Batman Part 2 or a Joker style individual movie.
Interesting. I think Clayface in this type of detective setting could be really interesting, and that's what I didn't love about this movie is that I don't think the mystery was all too frustrating, and I think Batman should feel a little frustrated despite his like keenness at being a great detective. Cause he's like a little too good in this. Like he just kind of skirts through everything.
Yeah, except when he's a
And
fucking idiot and doesn't know Spanish.
yeah, so it's that. But I feel like it could be really frustrating where he's trying to track down, whatever Clayface is up to, but they keep changing their identity, and that could be like, there's no way I can do this. Like I don't even know. Like I have to catch him in a trap essentially. Like that could be really interesting as a detective story.
Yeah, I agree. I've also said this to you before, but I mean, we've only started talking about DC stuff on the show recently. But for me, my ideal Batman in terms of like what I believe is possible for like suspension of disbelief in the world is if the world feels like it could include a character like Clayface. Clayface is my benchmark for this. Then I think that they nailed Batman. So similar to what you're saying, I'm curious to see if Clayface is in play. If they commit to it, be like, yeah, this is somebody who can literally shapeshift. Or
Mission
if
Impossible.
they do that, if they just like pull some Hush stuff from the comics in terms of like, yeah, he is like cutting people's faces off and like taking them. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but yeah, I'm curious to see the approach they take here. As long as it's not Joker, I'm fine getting to Joker eventually, but like not in the second one, please.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's so many villains that they still can get to. That is not the Joker, and
Yeah,
I'm kind of with you there. Like, I don't know if I really want to see the Joker they set up really anytime soon,
yeah.
or
Keep
if we
him
do,
in.
like, keep in Arkham. Or, I mean, I feel like the Joker could be a good villain if they do like an Arkham Asylum movie, and like
That'd be
he's
cool.
kind of leading the breakout, kind
Ooh,
of like the
that'd be very
game,
cool. Yeah,
or like the comic that the game is inspired on.
yeah. I would really love that. I think the only issue is we don't know how many things Pattinson's gonna want to do.
That's true. I feel
That's the
like
big question.
what could really be interesting if Batman is essentially feeding ammunition to the Joker over the course of these movies and like just putting bad guys away, and the Joker's like, "All right, time to spring the trap." That
Dude,
would be that would be interesting.
Joker's going Nick Fury inside the
Yeah,
halls of Arkham Asylum. That'd be so cool.
I think
Oh my god,
that could be really fascinating.
I would love that. Yeah, get Brendan Fraser back as Firefly. He was
Was
in the
he?
Batgirl movie
Oh, you're
as
right. Yeah.
Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm hopeful for the sequel. My big want has always been Mr. Freeze, but Clayface would be dope.
I could point you to an exceptional 1997 film featuring some incredible acting. It's called Batman and Robin. I think you should check it out.
Oh yes, I'll break out the VHS tape if it still works because I watched that thing to death as a kid. So.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid.
Oh, me too. It was great.
I think I tried to watch it at some point in college, being like, "Oh, this will be fun," and then I was like, oh boy."
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's also in the meantime before the Batman Part 2, we have the extension of the Reeves verse, the crime verse. Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, I don't know.
The crime universe, I think.
Mm-hmm.
HBO Max is getting the Penguin series, which allegedly Battinson's going to show up in.
Right? Yeah.
So very excited to see that. Because honestly, huge shout out to Colin Farrell as Penguin. He's a
Yeah.
shining beacon in this movie.
A lot of people didn't know that was him.
Yeah.
Like when they went and saw that movie and came out of it, who didn't like see any of the pre-release stuff, but him as in acting in it like completely disappears, as well as the makeup artists that got him to that point. That is like some of the most impressive practical makeup work ever, I think. Just looks like a completely different person.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see this Penguin show following up that little plot thread that they had at the end of the film where there's a power grab now and
He's like kind of
Penguin's
sympathetic
probably
too.
yeah. It's very interesting, and I'm excited to see where his character goes. But we'll see. Batman's pretty great.
Yeah, glad you not came around, but you got a better environment to really experience it.
Yeah, I wish I was able to have, a silent theater with just me and Omar when I did see it, because I probably would have walked out being an easy 5. But
Yeah, that's what I did. I saw it in the IMAX theater in Providence, and I saw it with like a bunch of people, and I think I was certainly the hottest of that group. Most people were like, "Yeah, it was fine." And I was like, dude, that was 5 out of 5. What are y'all talking about? I was like floored. I've like since come down a little bit on it, but I still think it's exceptional.
yeah, it is truly fantastic, and I can't wait for more. So it was nice to revisit. Glad I did, and we will wait for episode 1 of The Penguin. I think they're filming that right now, because I have seen set photos of Oz back on the streets.
Hell yeah.
So until then, though, Jack, where can the agents of Excelsior find you?
Sure, you can find me on Twitter at FascinatedJack. What about you?
You can find me on Twitter and TikTok at Chun2D2. You can find the show every weekend on youtube.com/joyclicks. You can find us on Twitter at ExcelsiorJC. If you want to support the show, you can do so by going to patreon.com/joyclicks at the $1 and $5 tiers. If you do not have the funds to support, though, liking, rating, reviewing, sharing the podcast on your favorite podcast service like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you listen or view podcasts, would be appreciated. Takes a quick second to like or leave a couple words of support if you enjoy. So thank you. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back. I don't think there's anything major happening in the next few days, but who knows these days, we could wake up tomorrow and they could say that they fired James Gunn again. I don't know.
Oh boy. Well, we'll talk about the fallout from if there's any issues with the launch of the all the free skins, and we'll figure out what's free and what's the one thing that's not, maybe.
Yeah. We will report back, but until then, Excelsior.
Excelsior.